Hello and welcome, viewers, to what you have seen plenty of times on the Gwent ladder as of the 10.2 update. It is a siege list. Yes, here we are. This is my take on the siege list, and I am running a stockpile version, uh, not the inspired Zeal version that you've probably seen. This is just more of a personal preference. I've always wanted to see stockpile sort of work since it's rework into what it is. And with the new supply updates, I have been enjoying playing this list, and it has gotten me now to pro rank. What some of the gameplay you'll be seeing shortly will be mainly at rank 1 because I was still grinding through rank 1, and during my recording session actually I managed to achieve my 5 victories and got into pro rank. Now, the way I run this deck is not too dissimilar to the way everyone else probably runs this deck, at least that I have come into. I like using my thinning tools in Henselt to draw a Raffards Vengeance. Since I'm not running Inspired Zeal, my options to protect it are either use a Crystal Skull, or I do that play round 2 while having a siege support to give my Raffards Vengeance Seal. And then afterwards, once you've got that all set up, you've hopefully got your Siege Masters, at least one in hand, so you can draw your cards off of playing Raffards Vengeance. Now, I don't like having both of them in hand at the same time. I'd rather split them, if I have 2 in hand, I like to mulligan them just so you have one, but if you like doing 2, run 2. And then everything else is sort of fair game to play in round 1 to win it. Except I like to keep siege, of course, so I can use my Adalia and my reinforcements to spam out reinforced ballistas with my siege to, as the deck suggests, overload the opposition with engines and kill anything that's on their board. Now, what might be a little bit unusual, I like to go for Hubert here just for that bit of extra thinning. So this means the deck thins to approximately 3 cards if everything goes to plan, but it doesn't guarantee that you can draw Siege, which I have come across in unfortunately many a game, which is unusual. But then, just standard resupply fare, boiling oils, bombardments, winches, siege towers. But what is unusual, I put in here a Siegfried just as a tech for coming up against Nilfgaard, who's playing a lot of locks or a lot of poisoned, or the new Philip von Morlehem, giving you any which way status. And I have had it before. I don't think I've got a game for you today, but where you hit 3 cards left, your Nilfgaard players looking all high and mighty with all your engines still on the board but all still locked, and then you pop out a Siegfried, pop your leader charges and wipe their board. It's quite satisfying to see. So hopefully you enjoy the list, get some success with it. So our first matchup that I do have for you is against Nilfgaard, and it is Assimilate. Now, Assimilate, I'm not sure if this is the deck that we're going to see Siegfried pop off at, but we shall see. Mulligans, I take first Siege Master, then a Winch. Like I said, I don't like double Siege Master. 2 Winches in round 1 I think is a bit overkill, makes Raffards way too tall a target. And of course then I mulligan Raffards so they can draw it with a Henselt. Now what you'll see is, me kind of click around, click on my deck, click on my graveyard, and that's just me trying to keep my attention up while I play Gwent. Apologies for it. Standard opener here, Henselt into Raffards with the Siege Master, drawing the one I mulliganed away, which is quite nice. Now I'm thinking here, first turn sort of Raffards into Siege Tower, and kind of, go from there. We've also got the Natalis into AA, just to thin out a bit more of my deck, maybe get the other siege tower out, but I'm just kind of waiting on what this Nilfgaard player is going to do. Assimilate, so far, I don't seem I've had too much trouble with Assimilate. A lot of they tend to be engine heavy. And yep, here we go. Like I said, pop it out, get my other Siege Master going, draws the War Chariot, and now I've got a nicely crewed siege tower. Now I have put out my reinforced ballista, which isn't ideal because it's the only one in my hand that I could, come into some draw difficulties, as I am kind of looking at my decision right here, right now. But it makes Henselt really gain points over turn because that's ticking every time. It ticks multiple times, and it really stacks those points. Ooh. He gives spying to this, so I'm thinking Bratans, Artaud, and to sort of keep everything else at what I have in hand, I go for a bombardment. It's an alright play, but it's mainly just to keep him out of the round. Calvate comes down, so I know his next hand is going to be the best he's got. And again, just keep it simple, keep the resupply ticking. You get low costs from pretty good reward with your lower P warfare cards. Now I'm expecting a pass here from my opponent, as he ponders whether or not he should take his pass. But yeah, and there it is. He passes, gives me the round. Now I know he's going to be drawing his 3 best cards next round. So depending on what my draws are, I'm not sure if I'd push a 2-0 because I know his hand is almost guaranteed to be getting better than mine. I do have siege in hand, but I'm going to get good value off of the bleed here because I know I can play what I want, whether it's bronze or whatnot, and know that what he drew is going to be better than mine, and at some point he's going to have to throw it out. Opening move here, I think I choose to go 2-0. Okay, as you can tell, this audio was done in post, and I have forgotten what I did in these games. So I have decided just to push for it, straight out. Bold move, in my opinion. So let's see how it goes, but I do have all the... No, I don't. No, I don't have my Ballista. And I don't know why I've done this. I guess I'm going for it anyway, rather than actually sticking to my game plan that I wish to do. Flexibility, that's what this game is all about, folks. So, well, my only real target there too, Adalia, was going to be the siege tower. And AAing for a ballista wouldn't have gotten me anymore. Or at least not off the AA, at least. Sorry, the Adalia. And my opponent, true Assimilate fashion, seems to want to be copying what I'm doing. Hubert comes out, Natalis into that ballista I so dearly want. Don't know why I put it back row, probably because I knew that I didn't really need the extra points, since as you can see, bombardment has wiped the board already for this nice engine reliant deck that I'm up against. And I think this is the point where my opponent realizes he starts to have to commit because I am committing to the round, and I'm not just going to throw out siege for a lackluster bleed. So of course, make sure you always use all your orders before you commit to playing your card, in case you do end up playing a supply card. And unfortunately, Adalia doesn't count as a crew, so I'm stuck with a 14 cooldown, which doesn't really matter too much. It's not ideal, since I've still got warfare cards in hand. Now, something I do want to mention is that your stockpile, try and keep your engines, mainly this is true for your reinforced ballistas, but you kind of want them all on the same row so that your resupply, as it were, your stockpile, your cooldown charges, as you see me taking one here, they affect as many of your siege engines as possible. Now, we did lose my Foltest Pride, which is unfortunate, but with the amount of damage we're putting out, I don't think it's really that much of an issue, especially when I have sort of misplayed and didn't let it and had it be stuck with 4-turn cooldowns. He brightens to block my siege engine from being crude, which is annoying, but luckily Reinforced Ballista can hit anything, not just your opponent's side of the board. It's not enemy unit locked, it is just it is any unit, which is handy, so it keeps my siege tower crude, pardon me, while I keep going to town with warfare. So now he's come out with his R-Tower, but the best he's got is only another Reinforced Ballista. And as you can see, he's left his leader ability to last, but I want to play all my good cards relatively early in this round so I can set up and wind down. So double cross, yes, cool, he's got my War Chariot, but what's he going to do? It's going to move something or give 4 bleeding. He's used it to clog my row, which honestly I don't really care too much about. Yes, I lose 2 points of spawning volunteers, but that's not why I'm using stockpile. I'm using stockpile for my cooldowns, not for not for the crewing. So this is fine. Second Yerking comes out of the coup, gets his Foltest Pride out, and he starts bombing my board. Which, it's annoying if he was targeting the right things. But so far he's been hitting a lot of armor, maybe if he hit my crew. But what he's actually done is freed up my back row for me to actually play out the rest of my stockpiles. And then unfortunately he disconnects, and I'm not sure if that was going to be a rage or if that was him actually having difficulties, but I did end up winning that game because of timeout. Now for our second game, we have Inspired Zeal. I'm expecting this to be the stockpile version of Inspired Zeal. Mulligans, I'm kind of having a look. Everything's looking quite alright. And if I remember correctly, I go to keep this hand, but then I kind of realise that I don't need a Siegfried at all in this matchup. Inspired Seal doesn't, carry much status effects. The only lock you kind of really worry about is Margarita, but the most common ones don't seem to have it. So I get a Boiling Oil for my troubles, which seems to pay off me at least because I get to get this Reinforced Trebuchet off the board. And I don't know why he's going Siege straight off the bat. He must really want round 1, but when you commit both your Raffards and your Siege, that is a definite overcommitment. I like to split them over the rounds, and I'm looking to get out of this essentially as quickly as possible. He can have round 1. I'm not too worried about it. He's thrown away, well, not thrown away really, but he's already spent, how many provisions is it? 24 plus his 2 Siege Masters to get his draw. So I'm going to take a Natalis, find my AA for following rounds, and just get out a card that I don't really want. I throw out Siege Support because it's a card I don't really need, don't really want other rounds, but if I do feel so inclined, I can just play my Raffards Vengeance, give it Zeal, and throw out another card while still staying on 7, which is what I plan on doing, but I think everything just gets bombed because of Siege. Oh no. It survives by 1 point. So I'm lucky here. for my 7th card, I can still get a bit more thinning out. Uses Odrin, and nope, never mind, there goes all those plans. Now is my siege support, and so I'm just going to play out the siege tower, save Raffards, save most of my hand, and let's see what I get from here. Now, generally with these sorts of decks that go hard, you're worried it might be some form of meme deck, where if you give them the round 3, you're just going to play into their abilities, but judging by the way the meta is right now and seeing this list, I'm not worried about something at the end of that. There's no insane carryover. There's nothing much NR can do that's too excessive. So mulligans for round 2, obviously keep Cubit. I want that coming out of my deck, but still keep the hand. No, that's also viable if you don't want to risk the mulligan. But I decided to mulligan the Raffards to use my Henselt for more thinning, and I get paid off by getting my other seed support out. Now I've got to see a few cards come forward. But I just want to see if my opponent's committing to a bleed, or is he just going to throw out some trash he doesn't want. I want to dissuade him from playing out this round too much. So I'm running out Raffards. Yes, I run the risk of copping a boiling oil, but I reckon it is worth the risk to make sure I keep what I want for round 3 in my hand. Come on, Mr. Opponent. Find a card to play. So, what I'll probably play off the Raffards kind of has to end up being up. Well, that answers my question for me because he steals it. But really, I didn't kind of want to play anything off of my Raffards because I could only play my Trebuchets, which I really, really want to keep for that 3rd round. So War Chariot comes out, moves the Raffards away, I get some bleed going, get my Henselt ticking, and he's used his abilities. So he's going for it. Don't know why he has a muzzle in there, and now I find out why, because he likes to steal it and use it for himself. Hey, not a bad line of play. Gets rid of the 4 damage. He's now got a usable Raffards Vengeance, which will help thin his deck more. And I am not looking too good at the moment, to be honest. So, respecting the risk that this play's got, I Dahlia into one of my Ballistas, just because I know what this kind of entails. No, it doesn't get me ahead, but I have a feeling he's not wanting to just get ahead right now. He's taking me for a bit of a bleed, and if I get my engines going early, hopefully I can use some slam later, like I am now with a nice 10-point Odrin to crew everything to get me ahead. I target the battering ram to keep it on the front row, so it doesn't end up doing damage while it's still cooling down. If it stays on the front row, it still has to use its ability to move back to the back row before it can go again. And I'm a card up and a point ahead. Well, 2 points ahead if he passes now. But again, goes for another card. Really wondering what his endgame here is. Nothing screams that he's committed to the point that he wants to 2-0 me, since he keeps on sort of, playing bronzes that he's trying to get value out of. So at this point, I'd say he hasn't gone for it yet, as it were. So, I don't want that ballista going off, but I also don't know what I feel like doing. Winch into War Chariot, nice movement again. points again. And I'm really focused on this ballista. I'm not sure why I really need to move the ballista, especially after wasting a point on the armor. I should have just wasted a point putting on anything else, because if I'm just going to sit there and wait, oh, and out comes a duel. Just kills my war chariot, and I'm kind of approaching the point where I think I have to just kind of resign myself to the fact that I will be losing my siege. But I do play reinforcements just one more time. Hubert comes out, which is handy, just to, hopefully he has, he's getting down to his last 3 cards. Hopefully there's still something he's trying to save, especially if he's out here throwing high value cards like a Selkirk out. Plays into the round, has his engines popping, and a nice big point slam in using the AA for the first time. More thinning for him, knows he's going to get it next round. And I'm starting to be worried, honestly, at this point, because I know that my round 3 plan is going to be bled out and I'm going to have to commit siege. And I'm just checking his graveyard here, just having a look, going, okay, that's where his provisions have been spent. Now I can see what's on the board. I think I've got most of his top hands having been played this round. And so, look, at this point, I just have to get my siege going. And just to stop the pings, I kill the reinforced ballista. Now, I don't like this position. I'm 11 points down, 10 points down roughly, with all the N10 abilities. So I play, I'm expecting to go 2 cards down here potentially, and I'm just trying to do the math in my head, see what works out. And it turns out I have a bombardment, so I keep both my reinforced ballistas, and I pass the round by 1. So I managed to keep 2 cards. Unfortunately, I am down my siege, but I still have my reinforced ballistas. I still have my leader charges. I think I've got all 3 of my leader charges still. To his 1 leader charge, and I'm just seeing, do I dive for my Ballistas Pride? Drop the siege tower because it's a short round and it gives vitality, so I'm not seeing too many points off of that. Unfortunately, I get a winch, so I probably shouldn't have mulliganed there. Should have probably kept the boiling oil and just hoped my Siege Master would get me my Ballistas Pride, but it's a 25% chance. Back row Ballista, keep it protected, and boom. I'm a god, I'm a genius, I have now my Ballistas Pride. Perfect mulliganing there. So, with a man, he has last say. I'm not sure what to expect. I'm pretty sure there's normally an unsay for these sorts of lists. His Henselt has now come out for War Chariot. And he uses his last leader charge boosting Henselt, which kind of tells me he's got nothing more with orders that require it to be having zealed. So I'm not too worried about it. Use a leader charge there to get an extra point. That's in preparation for having my Ballistas Pride on the back row next turn. So I can play my Ballistas Pride as he plays his. So I can play my Ballistas Pride, and he then gets crewed immediately, while I also keep ticking with my reinforced ballista. So bang, hit the center, And now I can start typing down his Vulture Sprite. So far I've got 3 damaging engines on the board to his 1. I am up in points. Oh, and here comes his own reinforced ballista. Now I'm looking in danger here, but luckily for me, this is where the luck that I didn't want ends up actually coming into my own, keeping this alive, triggering everything again. There goes the Vulture's Pride. There goes the reinforced ballista. And I'm set up for a very nice finisher with, oh, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7 points straight off that, not counting the resupply. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like a 19-point final round, which unfortunately goes a bit to waste since I wipe his board. 20 points, 19 points, sorry, I forgot to count for the bleed, and he forfeits knowing that Anna does not have a 20-point final card. And lastly for this video so far, we have Syndicate Jackpot. Now, Syndicate Jackpot, first thing that comes to mind is your King of Beggars, Savola, Finisher, Horson Jr. sort of list that was popular last season. That's what I'm thinking here. And here I am with first round, opening classically with Raffards, Henselt into Raffards, into Crystal Skull onto it so it survives the round hopefully. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm coming up next. Yeah, I'm wary of it being non-devotion, so the possibility of a heat wave, and an odd opener. I'm not sure. My knowledge of the old list is shoddy, but I don't remember this being a part of it. So Raffards out and crew a Ballista Siege Tower, and try and just secure this round. Scapegoat with Bounty, not a card I see a lot. Honestly, I'm not much of a Syndicate player, so I don't know the use for it. And he's searching. Strenger. And at this point, I think we're all surprised here to see that this is actually a Bounty Witch Hunter list. And that is something I have not come across since this game in the patch. And I'm not sure how to take the lines and play with this, so I'm just going to keep it simple and run out of bombardment. And I'm kind of expecting a pass after this card. So gets max coins, gets max carryover, thins out his boat, and I guess there is a temptation here to sort of, you know, maybe hero pass, but then you just give them the round. So I'm going to play out the round. Like, I'm thinking Natalis into something. Just, you know, just throw out a bronze card I don't really need. So it ends up being Winch. Get the extra 2 points ticking, and if he plays, I think I would pass, but he passes here. The lead's too much. And I go in now. When someone passes on 7 for me, I do like to try and bleed them, but I think half of the time that's still a weakness in my game. I don't know how to play round 2s, especially with a new matchup like this. And I think with this one I went safe because I didn't know what to expect, didn't know what, so I'd rather have their cards out of their hand. And I get punished really for this last mulligan here. I should not have mulligan Siegfried. My thought behind that was, okay, what's this list going to do to me? And then I misplay. I misplayed because I don't think poisons are worth it. So I mulligan something, then that gets it into a brick, and then I misplay again here. and I threw out Natalis thinking that I still had my Amphibious Assault in my deck, which I don't, which leads me to waste a winch, as it were. Townsfolk. Now that I'm seeing it off, I'm like, is this that Townsfolk meme again, where you just keep copying them and they wipe your board because you place bounty on it? So to stop that, I use the boiling oil on it. And I still don't really know like what this list truly is, because it's boosted all witch hunters, and I've seen townsfolk. I've seen this. I don't think I've seen Savvy Huckster played in a game before. This is my first time seeing it. So I out Odrin. I think that's mainly to get my Foltest Pride going, which honestly, this is the point I should have passed at, I reckon. Played no further, take my L, get out the Witchfinder and just move on. And I think I am having that debate with myself in this gameplay right now. I'm looking at what I could draw, what I need. I still need my Siege. And I don't listen to my own advice that I am giving post-game, and I run out my Siege engine. And I get punished by him using his Graydon to get ahead, which I'm happy he used such a big card, but now I am 15 points down, and I don't know how I'm going to get my card back. So now this is me somewhat wasting charges in real, retrospect here, just to get my Foltest out, which brings me, which closes the gap, and out comes Witch Hunter Executioner to start punishing me for my not greedy, more, I guess it's somewhat greedy line of play to try and just take this out. And I kind of realised here I'm in a tough spot. I don't have my Siege, so I can't finish him like I would do in that last game with the 2-0. So I just kind of, I still don't want to run my Adalia. I still don't want to run out my Reinforced Trebuchet and Hubert the Brick. So I kind of just sacrifice my War Chariot here unnecessarily, knowing that I don't want to play anymore. And again, I'm down 20 points now, and I don't want to play any more of my cards. And things are honestly just getting better for me. I've used 2 leader charges to go down a card and not really put myself in a good position. Now, I still think I'm good. I still think I can win this. I've gotten out some good cards, but I haven't guaranteed it because I don't have Siege in my hand. If I don't have Siege in my hand, there is no way to get it, and I don't think I'm going to get it, which I don't. So I'm in a spot about here. I still have up to, what is it here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah, 5. 5 Reinforced Trebuchets I can draw. And one of the things I should have mulliganed, which I don't realise now, is that the only thing left in there to use my AA on is my Hubert. And I think that bites me in the ass. Oh no, I use it, I've realised it, so my AA is completely wasted, but it's a 1-point play, which is not what you want from your AA going into it, because that card would have come out across the course of the round anyway. So now I do my best to start setting up engines, and this is my last hope. Hopefully the Siege Master draws me Siege. Whew. Okay, alright, so suddenly I am back in this game, I reckon. And again, I just keep checking graveyards just to see what might be coming for me. Alright, bounties. And I kind of say, oh, that signals it's going to die, but I still need to just have the siege out here and going. Well, I didn't get rid of the heat wave like I kind of thought I needed to, but I'm still going to have 4 engines. I should be all right. But I'd rather have set up these 4 engines at the start of a long round so I can really get my value out rather than here where all I can do is just run it out. And I did think I made a mistake there as well. I did not need to use my last leader charge at all. No, I guess it's a trade-off actually. I think in hindsight it was better to probably save it for having or as many as I could of my ballistas out and about, rather than just getting this extra point per turn by having Trebuchet crewed. And he uses his leader ability here to great effect, bleeding for all these points, killing one of my engines. And I hate Witch Hunter Executioners, simply because they are like they're like a resupply trebuchet. You can just keep using them for damage. So it's kind of like a taste of my own medicine, but in a different form. So my one last card is maximum a 6-point play, I think. If 4 off my trebuchet, whether I use it front or back row, it doesn't matter, and then another 2 points on the resupply. So I'm looking at a max of 27 points, and this is where I'm just kind of hoping my bleed has done well. And with losing that, my reinforcements becomes a 5-point play, and he's spending all these